I'm Kat and I play red. We've been spending some time looking at some older but gooder Euros of late, and every so often I manage to time that right with a reissue. I think I did it with Rococo. When I did Russian Railroads, we were talking about a campaign to bring it back and they brought it back. I'm a bit behind the ball with this one because today we are going to have a look at Ra from Reiner Knizia. This is from 1998. I think this copy's probably about that old too. 25th Century Games have recently done a GameFound campaign, and the deluxe version with art by Ian O'Toole is about to be released. Let's have a look at how it plays. Ra spans 1500 years of Egyptian history, split over 3 epochs: the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom and the New Kingdom. You'll be trying to expand your power and fame by influencing pharaohs, building monuments, farming, all for the glory of the sun god Ra. At the start of the game, you're going to arrange the sun tiles into stacks of 3. Depending on the player count will depend which tiles you use and what's in the stacks. Each player will take a stack at random, and these will be your sun tiles and therefore your bids for the first epoch. The number 1 is going to go and start in the middle of the board. The player who has the highest numbered sun will be the first player. In a player's turn, they can do one of 3 actions: draw and place a tile on the board, play a god tile, or invoke Ra and call an auction. So, firstly, you can draw a tile from this very full bag and place it on the board. Simple. If it's a Ra tile, you're going to place it up the top. Now, we're set up for 4 players, so the first one would go there, and that would invoke an auction. But we'll come on to that in a bit. The second action you can do is to play a god tile. If I've got a god tile in my area, I can use it to trade for a tile on the auction row. So let's put a few more bits here. Is there anything tasty? Let's just pop them there. Take the god tile from your area, pop it back in the box, and take one of the tiles from the row. I'm going to take this civilization tile and pop it in your area. Move these up. The third action you can do is invoke Ra. Players will be bidding not only on the tiles on the track, but also for the sun tile in the middle. It is possible to call an auction just for the sun tile. There are some cases where you might want to do this, but usually it's going to be for the tiles and the sun token. If I invoke a Ra, the player to my left must place the first bid. So let's say they bid 4. We'll then work round the table with each other player having the option to place a bid, but it must be higher. So in this case here, the 2 wouldn't be any good. This player would have to bid the 6. You can always choose to pass. So let's say they pass. this player here doesn't want to use their 7, but I could, and I would in this case, choose to bid my 5. Because I'm the player that invoked a Ra, if all other players had passed, I would have to bid. However, if someone else had bid, I could back out. So you can force people to use up their sun tokens. So now I would take all the tiles off the board and pop them into my player area. Then I'm going to take the sun token from the middle, place it face down in my area and swap it with the tile I just bid. Upside down tokens now are not used until the next epoch. When a player has used all of their sun tokens, they are out of this round and may not play again until the next epoch. The next epoch is triggered either when all players have no suns left, or when we've drawn enough Ra tokens to fill this track at the top here. So if we've drawn and come here, the minute we place on this last Ra spot here, the round immediately ends with no auction taking place. If you draw a Ra tile from the bag and place it, you don't have to bid in the subsequent auction. If there are tiles on the board, oops, let's put these here, goodness, these aren't very well shuffled up. If there are tiles on the board and no one bids, these tiles stay put. The other thing that will trigger an auction is if this row is completely, here's all the raw tiles. If this row is completely full, an auction is then triggered. However, if no one bid on these, we'd take them off the board and pop them in the box. In ancient Egypt, there are always things that are going to mess you up. So here, I'm going to put these here actually, we have an earthquake, we have a funeral, we have civil unrest, and we have a drought. Now let's have a look at our central row here. If these come out in the central row, if I was to win this bid, I have no option but to take this tile. Now, this tile, the civil unrest, is a people killer. I have to kill off 2 of my people back in the box to resolve that. The monument killer, the earthquake tile, works in the same way, but with monuments. The funeral one does the same thing, but for pharaohs. That's the civil unrest we just looked at. And then the drought here is going to take 2 of your farming tiles. However, it will always take your floods before your Niles. So if this had been in the centre row, this would go and this would go. If you don't have the tiles in the centre row, they're going to come out of your tableau. So you're pretty much always going to lose stuff with these horrible, stinky black tiles. So that's the 4 of them. This is where the bidding can get super interesting, because if you have no monuments, it doesn't matter if you have to kill 2 of them. If you have no pharaohs, again, it doesn't matter. So if you are going to take a row with these tiles, you need to make sure you do it at the right time. At the end of the epoch, you're going to score points for your tiles. So let's have a look at the tiles and how they'll score you over the course of the game. At the end of the epoch, each god tile you have left over in your player area will give you 2 points. So we're going to take a little tablet of 2 points. And then these are going to go back in the box. The player with the most pharaohs at the end of the round will gain 5 points. However, the player with the least will get -2 points. If players are tied, all players will receive the bonus or lose points, unless all players are equally tied, in which case no one gets or loses points. So if I have 1, I'm probably not going to be the highest, probably not going to be the lowest, but this guy stays with me going into the next epoch. Players will then receive points for each flood and Nile token in their area. However, you will only score points for the Niles if you have a flood token. So if I didn't have that, I'd score 0 for my Nile tokens. However, because I have that, I'll score 3 points. But the flood token goes back in the box. Civilization tiles, the people here, will score you for sets of different types. So here I have 3 different workers. That would score me 5 points. If I had 4 different, I'd get 10. 5 different would give me 15. If I'd ended the epoch with none, I'd get -5 points. So my 3 here will give me 5 points. And these, you know what's going to happen? Back in the box. Gold tiles you have will give you 3 points. And back in the box, so 3 points. Monuments will only score you at the end of the game. So you're going to keep these through each epoch. If you have less than 7 monuments, you'll score 1 point for each different type. So if I had them, 2, 3, I'd gain 5 points. However, here I have 7 different types of monument. So that would give me 10 points. I then also get points for having monuments of the same type. So I've got 3 of these pyramids. That would get me 5 points. If I had 4 of the same type, I'd get 10. If I had 5 of the same type, I'd get 15. The last thing you're going to score at the end of the game is your sun tokens. Now you're going to add these up, so I'd have a total of 20. The player with the highest total is going to get +5 points, and the player with the lowest total is going to get -5 points. The player with the most points is the winner. So that's Ra. This is an old version of the game. I think we've probably had this from when it came out. The deluxe version, I think, is kind of fulfilling at the moment. But as far as I'm aware, there's going to be a retail release for it at Gen Con in a month's time. I don't know how to feel about it. The deluxe version looks gorgeous. It looks really nice. However, on GameFound, it was $80 plus shipping. So probably by the time you add shipping, you're looking at close to $100. Ra's a really nice game. Is it an $80 game? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, say, we've had this for years. It still comes out. It still gets played. It's a good game. I think we probably paid somewhere like £30, somewhere probably between £20 and £30 for this at the time. There's Also a version called Priests of Ra that is very similar. The tile arrangement is different, but the premise is the same. And that for us in the UK was available in a budget bookstore called The Works for £10. And it was around for a long time. Also, there was a more recent version of this put out by Fantasy Flight. I don't know what the price tag was on it because I didn't look because we owned it. I think it's going to be a lot less than $80. Unless you're going to be getting this out and playing this every day, buy a normal copy. It is a great game. I'm not always a huge fan of auction games, but this is really nice. It has a push your luck element because you're trying to decide if you want to make bids, and this Ra track on the board here can end up filling up really quickly. All of a sudden we're at the end of the game and that's it. It's the end of the round. You can't do anything. So there is definitely a push your luck element to it. It's got a little bit of set collecting, as well as the auction mechanic. It's a great game. Is it $80? I don't know. I don't think it is. But it will be at Gen Con, so go and have a look and make your own mind up. How about that? Free thought. Radical. Go and have a look and see. However, there may well be people selling this copy, the Aliyah copy, or the more recent copy cheap because they got their deluxe ones. So keep an eye out for that. Ra from Reiner Knizia, produced by almost every company out there at some point in its 24-year-old history. Check it out. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, click like, subscribe. Come and say hello on the other socials. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at iPlayRed. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.